Good morning, everyone. Will Dupree here once again in the KXAN Live studio. We are bringing you a live picture right now from a construction site in East Austin where two cranes have reportedly collided. There you can see on the right side of your screen one of the cranes that is damaged clearly because of this collision. And what we have heard from Austin Travis County EMS is that at least 22 people have been hurt. Most of those injuries are likely minor, though, because only about 11 or so have now been taken to hospitals. As you can see, there is Austin Travis County EMS paramedics, as well as other first responders at the scene at this time. You're looking live where those two cranes reportedly collided while they were working on a parking garage there near the Miller development, close to the Dell Children's Hospital complex there in East Austin. Our photographer, Frank Martinez, is bringing us this picture at the moment from East Austin. Our morning anchor, Tom Miller, is on the way to the scene there. When he joins here shortly, we'll bring you a live report from him as he's kind of looking around and gathering some more information from the scene there in East Austin. What we know at this time is that two cranes have reportedly collided at a construction site. They are building a parking garage at this time there in East Austin near the Miller development. At least 22 people, according to Austin Travis County EMS, have been hurt. 11 at least have been taken to hospitals, so the other injuries appear to be minor at this time. I'm going to leave up this live image just for a moment as we gather more details about this. Thank you for joining our stream. We do appreciate that. And I'll be right back here in just one moment, so stay with us. Again, Will Dupree here at the KXAN Live studio sharing some breaking news in East Austin at this time. Two cranes have reportedly collided. There you can see on the right side of your screen those particular cranes that have been damaged after they collided at some point this morning. This is at a construction site in East Austin where a parking garage is being built very close to the Miller development, not too far away from the Dell Children's Medical Hospital. We're just trying to orient you with where this is at this time. What we have heard from Austin Travis County EMS is that at least 22 people have been hurt. 11 people at this time have been taken to hospitals. The other injuries may be minor. Those details are just coming into us from EMS as is happening this morning. If you take a look right here and wondering where this is exactly, it's at 1600 Robert Browning Street. Again, this is the map that we kind of created to show you all where this is, very close to I-35, just east of that off Airport Boulevard, just south of 51st Street and Berkman Drive. Again, this is at a construction site where a parking garage is being built there near the Miller development. Austin Travis County EMS sent out this tweet just a little bit earlier, about 20 minutes or so ago. This is the last update they've provided. Again, the command is advising that 22 victims, 20 people now considered patients, with rescue assets attempting to make access to a crane operator. Again, this is after 2 cranes reportedly collided there in East Austin. Here's a live picture once again of the scene of the cranes that were involved there, right there, just to in the distance of our live shot. We are awaiting our anchor, Tom Miller, to join us for a live report to talk about the latest information that's happening out there and what he's seeing in the response. So please stay with us. We're going to leave it this live picture now so you all can see what is happening there in East Austin. Thanks everyone for sticking with us as we are trying to gather more details about this developing news out there in East Austin. At a construction site, 2 cranes reportedly collided. You can see the cranes involved right there in that live picture that was just being shown in that image. Our photographer looks like he's moving his location at this time, so please bear with us. What we know at this time is that this is at a construction site where a parking garage is being built in the Miller development in East Austin, just past I-35 there, pretty close to the Dell Children's Medical Center there. Just want to orient you all to kind of figure out where this is exactly. The map that we have been pointing out is that it happened about right there where you can see the marker is for workers injured. Austin Travis County EMS is telling us that at least 22 people have been involved. We are being told at last count that about 11 or so have been taken to the hospital. So some of the injuries may be minor at this point, since there haven't been any kind of transports done by paramedics. We are awaiting a live report here in just a moment from our morning anchor, Tom Miller. He is joining us there at the scene as paramedics and other first responders are responding to this situation in East Austin. So please bear with us as we keep gathering information. And we do have a new tweet now from Austin Travis County EMS. The final tweet that they're sending out right here is that a structural collapse incident, at 1600 Robert Browning Street. Command is advising that the total victim count is 22, a patient count of 20 with 16 patient transports, 3 patient refusals, and 3 no patients. So at this time, 16 people have now been taken to hospitals. 3 patients who were involved potentially have minor injuries, said they do not need to be taken to a hospital, and then 3 have also said they do not need to be taken to hospitals at this time. A public information officer, someone that talks to us here in the media, will be responding and will provide a media briefing at some point. So what we know right now is that at least 16 people have been taken to hospital after this crane collision in East Austin at a construction site. Once again, here is the live image. I'm hearing in my ear. For you all, we are awaiting our anchor, Tom Miller, to be able to join us and report about what he's seeing there at the scene. At the moment, this is the live picture from it. You can see Austin Travis County EMS responding. The cranes that were involved in this collision are directly behind those ambulances there, very close to that parking garage where this collision happened. So we are still gathering information at this time. What we know from Austin Travis County EMS is that 16 people have been taken to hospital, and at least 6 others say that they're fine. Even if they got minor injuries from this collision, they are staying there at the construction site and not being taken to a hospital. So thank you for sticking with us as we're gathering this very developing breaking story. A lot of new details coming in. We're trying to gather it as quickly as possible. So please stay with us, bear with us as we keep getting this underway, keep getting everything ironed out. We are expecting a briefing at some point from Austin Travis County EMS. They are sending someone there to be able to speak to the reporters who are gathered, trying to get the latest information and report that. We do know that first responders are asking people to avoid this particular area so that this response can go on. If you're wondering where this is, here's this map. I'm going to leave this up for just 1 second as we try to get our anchor, Tom Miller, to join us for a live report. I've just been sent some details about this particular site. So according to a site development plan, the area where this collision happened between the 2 cranes is slated to become the Miller parking garage. The site plan was first submitted back in December of 2018 to create an 8-level parking garage for a nearby office building and the Miller planned unit development. 2 of the garage levels are below ground, and the ground level will also include retail space. So this is information that is coming in from our newsroom. They're gathering some new details about this particular site. So we appreciate you all joining us for this information about, as I pull up our live shot once again, of this particular area where this collision has happened. We are recounting some of the information that we have at this time. A few moments ago, Austin Travis County EMS sent this particular tweet. I'm going to pull it up one more time. If you have been watching us, you may bear with me as I spell out these details again for people who are just joining our live stream. This particular tweet says that a structural collapse incident happened at 1600 Robert Browning Street. The command is advising that there's a total victim count of 22 and that a patient count of 20 with 16 people taken to hospitals. 3 patients refused care and then 3 no patients, so they are fine. So those at least 6 people, 3 of them may have been hurt in some way, but they are being taken care of at this point. 16 people are now in hospitals for their injuries that were sustained during this event that happened in East Austin. If you take a look, there's our anchor, Tom Miller. He's joining us for a potential live report here in a moment. And I'm going to pull back up this map as we get that set. I'm hoping that he can join me here in just a few minutes, so please stand by. I heard him saying in my ear that there may be a briefing by some sort of spokesperson for Austin Travis County EMS in about 5 minutes or so. So please keep bearing with us as we report on this breaking news in East Austin. I'm going to show you a cut-in that our programming is doing right now over on KXAN channel 36. Let me take that really quickly so that we can show that to you now. Just watch as this update is happening in East Austin.
Who has been on the scene, headed right over there after we got word of this incident playing out. He's been gathering information, and then we are waiting also for an update from Austin Travis County EMS, who are going to give us further details about what is happening. All right, do we have Tom? Can we go to him now?
Yeah, hey Amanda, first things first, what we're hearing is that they are relatively minor injuries, and that is coming from the developer here, Catellis, which is the entire developer for this Miller neighborhood. But I want to show you the situation. This crane that you see on the right-hand side, the black crane, that is the crane that we believe has collapsed in some capacity. And then the red crane, what you're seeing on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the other crane that was involved in this incident. This is a pretty big area, a building. There's a sign over here that says it was 235,000 square feet office space that was being constructed. So you get the sense of the scene. You can see multiple EMS vehicles are still out here. What we're not seeing so much of are ambulances necessarily, as the latest numbers that I read from the EMS is that 16 patients were transported, 20 patients overall, but that there were several refusals, people who didn't want to actually get transported. Once paramedics showed up, asked them if they wanted to go to the hospital. The developer here, who I did have a quick chance to talk with, says that he was talking with construction crews, and the developer said that he believes most of the injuries are minor. What we don't know at this point is if anybody is still on these cranes. That's something that some of the witnesses are telling us, that there may be an operator who's actually stuck on one of the cranes. We have not seen any indication of that, but you know, there are still plenty of emergency responders out here. There's also plenty of construction workers. It looks like they've all been pulled off of the site, and they're sort of huddling at the end of Robert Browning Road. As Frank pans over to them, you can see it looks like several dozen of them are sort of gathered there. They're probably getting a briefing from the foreman, trying to understand what happened here. We are told that the Austin Fire Department will be coming over, possibly also Austin Travis County EMS, and giving us a briefing. It looks like this is them walking over here right now. So we're just going to stay with this and see what we can learn from them as they come over here. You see one of them is wearing that shirt that says Incident Command, so clearly they're the folks who are going to be able to explain what happens. Pointing out, you know, trying to figure out where exactly they want to come. Obviously, we're also all social distancing. It's going to get a little wacky here as we're getting off of our tripod to try to walk over to them, making sure that we all have our masks on as well. So just to recap the situation, the information from EMS and the numbers are sort of fluctuating back and forth, so it's hard to get a clear read exactly on what's going on, and I know my voice is a little muffled now as I put my mask back on. But we know that there are believed to be 22 victims, but in that they're saying 20 patients, so not sure what the difference is on that. I'm going to make my way in here as I have another microphone, as we're going to try to get this situation. So just bear with us on this. But again, you know, more than a dozen at least patients transported. It appears that the situation is still unfolding. I'm looking here. This is Captain Darren Nowick with Austin Travis County Emergency Medical Services. So we'll just hang tight here and get the latest on the situation.
Yeah, here it comes. All right.
I'm live right now, FYI.
Okay, no, thank you. We're getting one more live mic here. Let him. Sorry.
Bear with us as we're waiting to get the update here. Read again.
Yeah.
Lots of different microphones are involved in this process, so getting them all mic'd up, as there's probably probably a dozen different news organizations between the television stations, radio, the newspapers.
Can you come up? Yeah. Where do y'all want me? Right here? Everybody good? Well, am I still good for everybody else if I take one step this way? Yeah. All right. I'll go ahead and take this off since we're distanced enough here. All right. So everybody's ready? Yeah. Okay. So I'm Captain Darren Nowak with Austin Travis County EMS. I also have along with me Chief Bridges from the Austin Fire Department. Will be available for any other questions that you might have concerning the Austin Fire Department involvement here in the incident. Give you a briefing of what we had today. So around 9:38 a.m. this morning, the Austin Fire Department and Austin Travis County EMS received a 911 call. The initial 911 caller was crane collapse. Once responders arrived on scene, it was determined there was no structural collapse at the incident. It was basically a crane versus crane incident that had occurred at a construction site. We have encountered 22 total patients that were involved in this incident. Of those 22 patients, we transported 16. All of those transports were to various hospitals around the Austin area. All of those injuries are considered non-life-threatening. All of those injuries were also incurred as the patients were trying to evacuate the area quickly for any other subsequent incident or collapse that may be impending. Additionally, we had 3 refusals on scene, and we also classified 3 other people as no patients. They were involved in the incident, but were not treated as patients. As far as Austin Travis County EMS assets that responded to this incident, we had 8 Austin Travis County EMS ambulances respond, 2 commanders, and 1 of our division chiefs as well. And with that, I think that covers that. I can open it up for any kind of information and follow-up that y'all may have.
Do you know why the cranes collapsed?
That's going to need to be investigated.
And do you know if the patients sent to the hospital, were they all construction workers or?
To the best of my knowledge, everyone that was transported was an employee at the site. I don't know if that's the same company or various companies, but everyone was a worker at the construction site.
And can you talk about the debris at all that might have fallen?
That's still kind of have to be explored. I mean, right now the area is still not deemed exactly safe, so there's going to be some more investigation and some cleanup, some extensive issues that are going to be ongoing here for quite some time.
Where are the crane operators?
One of the crane operator is still on scene. I am unclear on the location of the other one, if he was considered one of our no patients or one of our patients.
Up there, or was he
I'm not exactly sure on that. We'll have to clarify that.
I understand his foot is on the brake up there and he's afraid to take it off because there's no way to launch that crane. And that there was a meeting going on when the accident occurred, and that crane operator wasn't with the big meeting going on.
There's
no one in that other second crane. The red crane just swung around and hit it while the meeting was happening. And then everyone ran, and that crane operator is still up there with his foot on the brakes.
I don't have any information on how the incident occurred. That's definitely
what I heard from the commanders.
right. Okay. Well, right now the official word's going to be that this incident is under investigation. As far as the location or current crane operations, I can certainly have Chief Bridges come in and chime in any information for that.
Operators working. There were 2 crane operators. So 2 crane operators working, or just 1?
That's under investigation right now, and that's not an investigation. There's 2 cranes. I mean, we can all see. Okay, we're going to move on to some other. I'm going to try to provide the best information.
I don't know if there were. If you're indicating there was a crane operator down below and upstairs.
Okay, I'm going to try to provide the best information to everybody that's out here as possible. So let's kind of rotate. Chief Bridges, did you have any information on the current crane operations right now that you would want to provide at this point, or able to provide?
Are
you able to say, is there a rescue operation going on right now?
There's no rescue operations going on right now. No rescue. It would all be recovery type operations.
Have you guys responded to crane collisions before?
We have certainly responded to crane incidences, collapses, tipping over, other types of incidents, medical incidents on the tops of cranes. So I can't, from my memory vault, pull one that actually had two cranes colliding, but I don't know that for sure.
This is a collision, not collapse. Want to make sure.
Correct. It was two cranes that collided while working.
You
Yes.
said potentially a recovery operation, or do you believe that somebody's deceased?
So that was a mistake. So recovery being recovering all of the assets, all of the equipment, recovering back to normal operating issues on the work site.
So have you been able to make contact with that crane operator?
Everyone involved in the incident, including the crane operators, has been contacted. Yes.
But he is there.
I don't have that specific information right now. Like I said, Chief Bridges might be able to provide more information on the crane operations and recovery back to a normal operation. Sure. Sure. I'm going to kind of stand by you here since I have the lav mics here.
Sure. Hi, Mark Bridges, Austin Fire Department. Good to see you all today. So right now, we do have a situation where two cranes, there's no collapse. It was a crane on crane kind of, we have some wires that are entangled. So two cranes are stable at the bases, but right now the problem to solve is that there are two wires connected, and so we have cordoned off the area in the estimated area. When we think if they were to fall, which we don't think they will, but if they would, we've got that area cordoned off. So we're working with the site supervisors, and we've got some crane specialists from the company that have been contacted and are en route to help us further solve the problem when they arrive. So right now, no one is trapped or injured, and we are doing our best to just kind of monitor the scene and keep people away and keep it stable and keep people from entering the area so that there's no further complications. So right now it's kind of a stand by and wait until we can get some resources from the company. We do have a drone from Austin Fire Department's drone team that is going to go up and give us a really good 360 view of the wire entanglement, and that'll give us some good footage to try and see how we can solve that problem. So that's an asset that's going to help us out today.
Is that what happened? Like wires got tangled?
Yes, we're not sure how it happened, but initially on a crane collapse, we're always afraid that it's going to fall into the building that it is attached to, which was not the case, which was good. This just happened to be two cranes working, and we're not sure how or why, but they did get entangled, and the wires are there. So we're monitoring the wind conditions, because what we don't want is a big wind gust to come in, and since they are attached at the top, we don't want the wind to be able to cause further problems right now. We're fortunate we're not having a lot of wind today, so right now it's just kind of a monitoring and just kind of a standby. But
that truck going to check on the operator? Is the operator still up there with his foot on the brake?
The operator is in that crane, and he's been there, and he's not in any danger. And that was a point we weren't able to.
But his foot is on the brakes. He's holding it in fear, correct?
I wouldn't say he's holding it in fear. He's holding it because that's part of the procedures when there's a crane issue is they have a mechanical lock, and since the crane is not going to collapse, in his estimation, he is providing a secondary safety. If we thought he was in any kind of danger, we would attempt some kind of rescue, but he's not in any danger, and right now he is providing a secondary safety.
He refuses to take his foot off the brakes just as a safety matter. He doesn't want anything else to go wrong, so he's insisting that he hold the brakes. Is that correct?
I do not know that 100%. That's my speculation.
But it's his choice to stay if they're holding the brake.
Let's
sure.
spread out some questions here.
Yeah, we don't know that yet. Unfortunately, when we respond to these incidents, fire and EMS, we always get there kind of after it happens. So we do our best to try and look at it and see if we can figure out how it happened, talk to the people that are on scene, and we're still in that process of the call.
Okay,
Looks like the red one swung around and hit the black one.
The cranes got tangled. One of them broke off, and now you guys are trying to bring the cranes down. What's the next step?
Right now, we're not trying to bring anything down. Right now, we are in a holding pattern until we get some specialists from the company to come out and make an assessment. They are in a better position to look at their equipment and see what needs to be done. What we're trying to do is, after the initial rescue is done, EMS and fire did a great job of working together to do the initial patient triage and transport. Now that that's done, we are just kind of holding the scene, preventing anyone from going back in and creating a hazard. And we are just kind of waiting to see how we can help the crane operators and the company when they show up.
Let's do 2 more questions from somebody that might not have had who hasn't had an opportunity to ask something.
So there's no timeline of when they're going to be able to get him down. We're just in a holding pattern right now until you guys can like have contact with the company and what's next.
That's affirmative, and we've got contact with him, and he's fine. He's just kind of holding what he's got, and we're continuing to make an assessment. But right now, there's no danger with him. There's no danger from the cranes collapsing that we can see, but we're continuing to keep everybody out and cordon off the area just in case of the unexpected wind gust or something like that.
One last question.
How long are y'all planning to be here?
We do not know. We're kind of waiting on an ETA from the collapse, the construction crane specialists, and once they get here, we'll make an assessment with them. But as far as our continued presence and whether that presence increases or shrinks, right now we just don't know.
And what about the road?
The road will stay as long as that crane is entangled and is in danger of falling over. The road could be closed off here for quite some time.
So would it be better classified as like a collision or like an entanglement?
I would classify it as right now a collision.
How about an incident?
Yeah,
It's
it's
crane
On
incident.
solid, was it the wires got tangled?
All right, thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, well, you were listening to that briefing, and there was a lot that was discussed there, so I'm just going to quickly recap what we know. There is still somebody up at the top of that red crane, the crane operator, and, you know, the combination of Austin Fire and Austin Travis County EMS telling us that he does have his foot on some brake that is sort of keeping the crane in place. The concern is that if there were to be some large wind gust or some other unforeseen event, that the cranes could collapse. But at this point, they do not think that that is a likely scenario. In terms of the number, we got confirmation that there are 22 victims here. 16 of them were transported to the hospital. It sounds like there was a number who refused treatment. So that's the sort of thing that we're hearing out here. But again, they're going to be out here for a while. As they want to see what ends up happening. They want to make sure that the scene stays clear and that everybody ends up being able to leave this okay. So, Mandy, for now, reporting out here in the Miller neighborhood, we'll toss it back to you.
All right, thank you, Tom. So I want to go back to what you were just saying there. There is a crane operator still in one of those cranes kind of holding the brake, and according to officials, some kind of wires got entangled, causing those cranes to collide. Now, did they give an update on when that crane operator would be able to come down?
I mean, that was something that we asked about sort of over and over. Well, you heard other reporters asking about at the very end of that press conference there. And they said they don't know. It sounds like they're not totally sure what the plan's going to be for getting that operator down. They did say they don't think that he's in any danger, but you know, with that in mind, they're also saying that he feels like he wants to keep his foot on the brake as sort of a backup, just in case it's needed, because it sounds like he doesn't know whether or not what would happen if he took it off. But the wires are tangled up between these cranes. You can see that there pretty clearly that they are tangled, and you get the sense that it's going to take a while for them to figure this out and get that crane operator safely and get these machines secured safely as well. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Tom. Okay, so as you can see around Tom, there's a ton of construction that happens in the Miller area. So I want to give you a bird's eye view here with our Austonian camera looking over towards that area. Not just in Miller, cranes have become synonymous almost with the Austin skyline. So this is a big situation to be happening there in East Austin. And once again, to recap what Tom Miller was just going over, 22 patients were reported by Austin Travis County EMS after those cranes became entangled and collided. 16 taken to the hospital. Non-life-threatening injuries reported, thankfully, and they have that area kind of fenced off so they can work to bring those cranes back down to the ground and get that situation under control. We'll continue following this on KXAN.com, and we'll see you back here for KXAN at noon.
Will Dupree still hanging out here in the KXAN live room as we followed this breaking news. There you see Tom Miller, who was just giving a cut-in over on the KXAN news programming side of things. We are continuing our live stream operation about what has happened there in East Austin. Just to recap what we know at this time is that the two cranes that you see in the background of this live shot there, just behind those ambulances, somehow they collided and wires became entangled, and that led to this situation unfolding. What the Austin Travis County EMS told us is that at least 16 people, 16 workers who were at that site have now been taken to hospitals. The good news is that none of their injuries appear to be life-threatening at this time, so they are expected to be okay. That is some fortunate news for sure. Additionally, at least 6 other people whom paramedics deemed to be involved with this have said they don't need any kind of transport or additional care, so they remain at the scene at this time. What they are also saying is that a crane operator in that one red crane there, kind of on the left side there, somewhat in the center of your screen, that person remains in the crane at this time, keeping it in position. There is no word right now when that person will be able to come down from the crane. They are waiting. The fire department and the other first responders are waiting for the company who is running this construction site to arrive and to evaluate what kind of condition the equipment is in before they kind of clear the scene. No workers are allowed up there at this point. They are being held back, and first responders are kind of guarding the scene at this time. Again, this is at 1600 Robert Downing Street. And Robert Browning Street, I should say. Excuse me about that. I've just been trying to get some other information. And yeah, it's at a parking garage there in East Austin. There's the first responders who provided that briefing just a few moments ago to us. What they are also saying is that at least 8 ambulances from Austin Travis County EMS responded, many other first responders. There you can see some of the workers in the background of that shot that our photographer just moved there. But if you take a look, these are the 2 cranes involved. So you can see one has appeared to partially have collapsed there on the right side of your screen. On the left, that crane remains mostly intact. Apparently, wires became entangled as work was happening this morning at about 9:30 or so, just a little bit after that. And the first responders who were there said that the people who were taken to hospitals became injured because they were running to try to get away from the site, and that's when they had suffered some sort of injury. So they are taken to the hospital. We know that 16 people at least have been taken to the hospital. Another 6 who were involved in some sort of way remain there at the construction site. They are expected to be just fine. So again, the fire department is going to send up a drone to look at the equipment, the wires involved, to see kind of where the situation stands at this point. We, of course, will keep you updated about what is happening out there in East Austin. Again, this is at a construction site for a parking garage in the Miller development. We know that this is not involved with any Ascension Seton buildings or Dell Children's Hospital, so just want to say that right out. And they cannot tell us if they've accepted any kind of patients related to this accident, this wreck out there in East Austin. So for now, I'm Will Dupree in the KXAN live studio. We're going to take down our stream here in just a moment, but please stay with us with KXAN News. We do have multiple crews who are responding and reporting to what is happening out there. If there are additional media updates from the first responders on the scene, we will carry that as well. You can trust us to bring that to you as soon as it's available. Please The article on our website, kxan.com, and the one on your phone on the KXAN News app are both available so you can find out the latest information about what is happening out there. Before we go, I'm going to recount everything just one more time, so please bear with us. I know you've probably heard this information several times at this point, but it bears repeating because a lot of new people may have been joining our live stream here just a moment ago. Again, this is video from earlier today when two cranes collided in East Austin at a construction site for a parking garage in the Miller development. First responders arrived at about 9:38. That's when they got the call. Wires, from what first responders are telling us, became entangled between those two cranes. And as workers were running to get to safety at some point, that's when the injuries happened. We know that at least 16 people have been taken to hospitals for their injuries. However, none of those injuries is life-threatening, so all those workers should be okay. Another 6 people who were involved stayed on site. They did not need any additional care from first responders, so that's all fortunate news for sure. This area will be cordoned off for a while. There may be some road closures as well, so keep that in mind if you live or work around that area of the Miller development. They are awaiting the company that runs this construction site to get there to evaluate the equipment that you see there, those two cranes in particular, and they will await to see if there is any kind of collapse risk. At this time, they do not think there is, but they're still awaiting those professionals, those experts, those construction site workers to provide some sort of analysis before they clear everything out. So please stay with us once again here on KXAN to get the latest information. I'm Will Dupree here in the KXAN live studio. We're going to take down our live stream. Any other updates related to this will be on our website and on our app, and we will jump back on our streaming platforms on Facebook and all the others to provide you any kind of update that the first responders may give here in the future today. So please stay with us. Everyone, thank you for joining our streams. We're going to take this down now, and we'll see you back here another time later today.